And good afternoon. Welcome to today's races presented by Fidelity First. I'm Stanton Salter along with Tim Tullock, and welcome to Preakness 144 week. We kick it off today with a nice 9-race card on a beautiful Thursday afternoon. We have a little carryover in the Rainbow Pick 6. We'll get to all that. You have a couple tickets, but let's talk about the big feature of the week, the Preakness this Saturday, the Grade 1 Preakness, $1.5 million on the line for some of the best 3-year-olds in the world. It's the middle jewel of the Triple Crown, a big 13-horse field. They had the draw yesterday in downtown Baltimore, a big turnout, and the Hall of Famer Bob Baffert, who won the Triple Crown with American Pharoah and Justify last year. Bob Baffert has the favorite with Improbable.
And a nice draw, the 4-hole. It's a good place to be. And, hey, look, this is the final countdown. This is it. First day of the race week. We get to the Preakness Stakes on
Preakness Day, Black-Eyed Susan Day on Friday. Big 14-race card, and for our first race post time on Friday is 11:30. Here's the guaranteed pools. We have a bunch. We have 7 big guaranteed pools this weekend. Black-Eyed Susan Day, we kick off a $300,000 pick 5 in race 7. And we kick off a $300,000 pick 4 in race 8. And we kick off another $300,000 pick 4 in race 11. So some big guaranteed pools for you this Friday, Black-Eyed Susan Day. We have 4 big pools for you on Preakness Day this Saturday. The early pick 5, that will start in race 2. That's a $250,000 guarantee. The pick 4 starting in race 6. That's a $500,000 guarantee. And then we get some serious money going, Tim. Race 9 kicks off the late pick 5. That's a $1 million guaranteed pool. And then the late pick 4 starting in race 10. That's a $2 million guaranteed pool. So if you like the big multi-race wagers and big guaranteed pools, this Friday and Saturday at Pimlico is where you want to play.
Absolutely, and it's going to be well played. They're fun races. I love the late pick 4, so I like seeing that big $2 million guaranteed on the late pick 4. I'm chomping at the bit.
All right, well, so let's. I skipped over. We have some B-roll to show you of some Preakness horses. Let's show you the morning line favorite, Improbable. He's the 5-2 morning line favorite. He'll break from the 4-hole in a 13-horse field. He got to Pimlico yesterday. Here's his gallop this morning at Pimlico. Tim, you were probably out there on the pony and probably saw it. Looks pretty good here to me.
Real good, just as professional as you want to be. These are 3-year-olds, but you'd never know it. First time he stepped on the track here at Pimlico and just does his job. Here comes a War of Will, having to come in between horses in his gallop. He's been very forward in his training yesterday and today, and his exercise rider there, Kim Carroll, had to say a little bit of whoa to him and say, "Come on back here, big boy. It's time to pull up." But he's been very forward, very happy in his training, ears pricked. And he's just got such a great expression and attitude about everything. I'm excited about War Will, and he will be eventually my top pick.
All right, so War Will, he's second choice. He's 4-1. He'll break from the 1-hole. American Pharoah, he broke from the 1-hole when he won the Preakness. So lots of information, several press releases about the Preakness Stakes and the Black-Eyed Susan Stakes and all the undercard stakes. We have the Pimlico Special on Friday. We have the Dixie, the Grade 2 Dixie on Saturday. A bunch of press releases going out all day long, several going out every day about all the Preakness races for both Friday and Saturday. All the press releases are being put up on Pimlico.com. It's hard to keep up with them, so much information going out.
Well, there's so much action going on, and this is a weekend we work for every year, and it's exciting. Everybody is all hands on deck, so this is the real stuff, and we're happy to do it, and it's our passion.
Yeah,
this is it.
The Notes team doing a great job getting all the press releases out, and our TV crew doing a great job with getting all the video and interviews early in the morning. Our man Steve Martin, he was out there 2:30 for War of Will's arrival on Tuesday morning. He was the first Preakness horse here at Pimlico. So that's this Friday and Saturday. We have a big Thursday card to get to, so let's get right to it. Let's show you a picture of both tracks today. Our main track looks great. The turf looks pretty good as well. All right, beautiful weather right now. What are we in the 70s? Let's see the conditions. There's a good shot of both tracks. There's the weather in the 70s, sunny. Main track fast, and we'll start off as good for the turf course, and we'll reevaluate it throughout the day. Some of the sprint races on the turf have been taken off. the route races on the turf, they stay on.
Yeah, and that's the right thing. We got a little bit of rain this morning. I don't know how much we got last night because I happened to get a little sleep last night. But this morning we got probably 35, 40 minutes of just a little bit of steady rain, just enough to put it on. But it's the right thing to take the sprints off. The sprints, it just comes down to physics, pounds per square inch. Those horses are running faster into the turn. They go in deeper into the turf. So that's the right thing. We've got a big weekend coming up. Leave the routes on. I like that decision too. So all around, it's going to be a nice day.
All right, let's get right to it here. Race 1 will kick off the rolling super high 5, and that has a low 15% takeout. We have it every race, 7 or more horses, so keep your eye on that throughout today. Also, race 1 kicks off the popular early pick 5. It's a mandatory payout on this early pick 5, industry low 12% takeout. Let's take a look at race 1. We're going a mile on the turf, rated good, rail setting at 15 feet. Maiden claiming 25,000 3-year-olds and upward, and I go with my price play of the day. Well, with all the scratches, he's bet down to 5-2 right now. The one Elevated Forever ran well first off the claim for trainer Raul Garrido, a good third. That was his turf debut at this level, going a mile at Laurel. Now gets Trevor McCarthy. McCarthy's going to get a ground-saving, forwardly placed trip here on a horse that looked like he liked the turf pretty well last out when trying it for the first time. Doesn't look like there's any other future turf superstars in here, so I'll go with McCarthy, our leading rider on the one Elevated Forever.
Well, why not? That's not a combination that you see very often, McCarthy and Garrido, and this horse did run a much better race in his last start while making his turf debut at today's 1 mile distance, and that rail, drawing that rail, and he showed a little speed on the turf in his last start, which he hadn't shown on the main track before, so I think you're absolutely right there. I didn't use the horse. I went elsewhere, but I certainly understand why you did, and he did fire a lifetime best race in his last start.
All right, we both like the 9. You have the 9 on top here, Super Courage. You get Julian Pimentel to ride this, well-bred son of Giants Causeway for Mike Trombetta. Tried the turf last out against Maiden 50,000 down there at Gulfstream. He ran okay. He gets a little easier company today.
Well, he certainly gets easier company, and I, you know how I like these horses that shift from Gulfstream Park up here to Maryland. They've been running very, very well when they've come and making their first and second start here in Maryland. It wasn't a terrible start in his last race, but it was for the Maiden 50. He's getting a little bit good class relief here to the Maiden 25, and he comes in here with some good solid works for Mike Trombetta, who's having himself a nice year here in Maryland, and he's got a big horse in that big race we're running this weekend. Win.
Yeah. Yep.
So he's going to be busy this weekend.
All right, so we both like the 9, Super Courage. Let's also check out the 2 here. We both like the 2, Jimmy, I Don't Know You. We have a video spotlight to show you of the 2, Jimmy, I Don't Know You. Here's the race at Laurel Park, April 11th, on the dirt against Maiden 25.
Right, coming out of the gate, he just gets absolutely hammered out of the gate. And as you see, he's on the inside and just gets hammered out of the gate there and loses a bunch of ground out of there. In fact, he's almost last going down the backstretch. Finds himself, Carol Cedeno finds herself away off the fence, turning for home. And, you know, he's given up a lot of ground going down the backside because of the poor start. And then he gave up a lot of ground around the turn. And I thought he hung in there pretty good for a pretty decent effort, a very respectable finish after having such a rough trip. He tries all the way down to the wire. A better trip today, I think, is going to be good enough. Now, he's got a decent turf race last September at Parks where he fired a decent number and ran 4th against much tougher than he will run against today in a maiden special weight race up there today. He's running maiden 25 today. So I think a little bit of the class relief, a little bit better trip for Jimmy I Don't Know Ya, who by Jimmy Creed out of our Corinthian mare should handle the turf and already has.
All right, so we like a couple of the same runners there in race 1. Let's turn the page, keep on rolling here. Race 2 will kick off the early pick 4. We're on the main track going a mile and a 16th, claiming 5,000 filly mares 3 and up. Haven't won 3 life or straight 3-year-old fillies. I go with the 4 on top. So do you. Dear Charlotte ran well first off the claim last out for Dale Capuano. Won the nickel 2 life when Dale claimed this mare, and then he ran her at this level last out with the Bug Rider, Correa, and a decent third that day. He puts her right back in the spot with Correa. We both have Dear Charlotte on top.
Yeah, I like Dear Charlotte in this spot. A little trouble out of the gate in her last start. She ends up getting beat 2 lengths, runs third, a decent effort for this group. It shows a nice work since that last race, a half and 48 and change at Laurel Park. And I think Dear Charlotte can probably get it done here today for Dale Capuano and Julio Correa.
All right, we both like the 1 as well. Natasha Fatale for trainer Claudio Gonzalez. Antonio Quills will ride this filly. And all right, 4th last out. That was against 16,000 3 life. Now a big drop here to the nickel life. Try to wake this filly back up.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a sensible drop. Got beat 9 lengths in her last start, making her a Maryland debut for all practical purposes in her last start. Didn't run that well. Got beat 9 lengths, but now drops to this nickel level. And we've seen Claudio do this time and time again. Make this move. The horses get the job done. And, Claudio, he just keeps rolling along. He's hitting at 25% early in this meet here at Pimlico.
All right, we both like the 6 as well. Rapid Route, first off the claim for Derek Parham. The Bug Rider, Felix Pinero, will ride. His horse had a nice win at Tampa back in March against 8,002 life. Was claimed for 8,000 at Laurel Park. They wait the 30 days. They drop into the nickel, and based on how the horse ran when they claimed her, they're making the right move here.
They're absolutely making the right move. Didn't run a bad race, but you ran 4th. You didn't win. You got beat 5 lengths. Let's make it a little easier for this horse. This is absolutely the right move for a Rapid Route. And Derek Parham and Felix get the dinero Pinero.
All right, so we like the same 4 horses there. In the second, let's take a look here at race 3. Race 3, we're off the turf, going 5 furlongs on the main track. Maiden claiming 25,000. Filly and mares 3 and up, and I go the 6 on top here. We both have the 6 on top. My Lily Rose, a first-time starter from the Chucky Lawrence barn, a filly by Orientate out of a Belong to Me mare. She has a bunch of works up there at Fair Hill, some nice 5 furlong workouts. Recently from the gate, May 7th at Fair Hill, she worked 102 and change. That's a nice move. She attracts the leading rider, Trevor McCarthy, to ride, so that's enough for me. I'll go with the 6, My Lily Rose, against a soft group here.
And I agree. I like My Lily Rose. We know what the others can do. A new shooter. She's coming in here for good connections. Chucky Lawrence, very, very good with his first-time starters. Hits 23% of the time. And when he runs one in a maiden claiming event, that goes up to 31% of the time. You're getting the meets leading rider for a filly who's been working pretty well. I agree. There's a couple nice halves in there and a good gate work, and I always like to see a good gate work sitting on top of a maiden first-time starter's first race.
All right, and the 1, I used the 1 in my exacta. My T Talk for trainer Hammy Smith. The Bug Rider, Antonio Quills, will ride. And this horse ran a decent second against maiden 25,000 back in March, and then ran a clunker stepping up to the maiden 40 level. She takes a drop today. She doesn't have too much early speed, so she's going to be covered up in traffic early. She's going to have to work out a good trip from the inside, but I'll use the 1 in my exacta.
And why not? When she ran for the maiden 25,000, it was a good result. She only gets beat 3/4 of length for the whole thing while running second. Gets back to a more favorable level for her, for Hammy Smith, and I like her a little bit too. I didn't end up using her. I'm a little concerned about the fence. She's going to have to get away well and not get too buried in and back there. But if she can run back to that maiden 25 race, she'll be all right.
All right, I didn't use the filly you have in your exacta, the 9, Doc's Way, excuse me, for Todd Beatty. Whitney will ride. This horse showed some speed last out up there at Penn National, then stopped. Going to have to finish better today.
Certainly going to have to finish better today, but Todd Beatty, he's very good, winning at 20%, bringing his regular rider, Dana Whitney, down, or perennial leading rider up there at Penn National. So I figured I'd give this one a little bit of a shot. Nice work since his last race, May 2nd up there at Penn, 48 and change. So I'll use Doc's Way back on the main track and not on the turf here in today's third.
All right, see if we can both get the 6, My Lily Rose, home in her debut for Chucky Lawrence and Trevor McCarthy. Let's get a quick commercial break. We have a carryover today in the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6. That's a little over 2,300. Tim has a ticket for it. We'll check it out right after this. All right, Preakness.com for all your tickets and information about tickets and stuff like that. Pimlico.com for all your recent news on Black-Eyed Susan and Preakness Day. Let's get right to the action in the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6. That's going to start race 4 today. There's the carryover, $2,305. Tim, you have a ticket. Let's check it out, see how you played it.
I do a $64.80 ticket, and I go three deep in race 4 using the 4 Free to Chump, the 5 Junction, and the 9 Dr. Serrato. In the race 5, I use 2, the 3 Snidely and the 8 Ben and Joe for Graham Notion. 6th race, 3 horses there, the 1, the 7, and the 8 Torch of Truth, the 1, the 7 Great Herman, and the 8 Nico Bree and TJ for Claudio Gonzalez. The 7th race, 3 deep there again, 1, 10, and 12, the 1 Too Much Data, my top pick in that race, the 10 Quality Step, and the 12 Toward the Outside, Glad Moon for Neil Morris. 8th race, I used 2 of them. I used the 1 Mrs. Cruz and the 3, my top pick, Hot Free Asia. And in the 9th race, I go 3 deep there using the 1, 4, and the 5, $64.80 ticket. Good luck if you play along in the Rainbow Pick 6.
All right, let's check out race 4 here on the main track. We're going 6 furlongs, claiming 5,003 and up. Haven't won a race in 6 months, never won 4. We also kick off the middle pick 4 in this race, and I have the 5 on top. Junction is my best bet of the day. We have a video spotlight to show you from May 3rd at Laurel against Beaton 8,000. This was first off the claim in the Farrier barn. He's stepping up to Beaton 8,000 here. He's 8-1, and he almost pulls off the upset here at 8-1. A game duel in between horses. Just gets beat a neck. Fires a big 67 Buyer speed figure, so they get a big check for running second, and now they're out of jail. They can drop down to the nickel, and they look much the best here to me, so I go with the 5 Junction on top.
I like Junction in my exacta. That was a big race on the mud. He's going to get a fast track today. I think that's going to help him a little bit. I just like the way he ran that race. He just never gave up, kept on coming, kept on digging. Angel Cruz returns for Anthony Farrier, and I like Junction in my exacta in today's 4th.
You have the 4 on top here, Free to Trump by Freedom Child for Claudio Gonzalez. A big win last out. That was a nickel 3 life, stays at the $5,000 level.
Stays at the $5,000 level, but turns back to 3/4 of a mile. Claudio Gonzalez, very, very good when he turns a horse back from a route to a sprint. He gets the job done 26% of the time. His horses will win 2 in a row 27% of the time. But this horse is in pretty good form. His last 3 races have been good efforts. 2 wins in his last 3 races. Win 3 back, going today's distance at a tougher level of 3/4 of a mile. So I'm going to take Free to Trump over the 5 Junction, but just barely. It was kind of a toss-up to me. I ended up landing on Free to Trump, getting a little bit of weight, 5 pounds from Junction.
And we both like the 9 Dr. Serrato's been freshened up since trainer Charlie Frock claimed this horse late March at Laurel. He was in good form, a good third that day at this level. He was coming off a big win in March. That was all in the Claudio Gonzalez barn. Now Frock has him. He's been training here at Pimlico. A couple of recent half-mile works. They look pretty good. You get the Bug Boy Correa. This horse has a little early speed. He should be able to get a nice trip on the outside today.
Home field. Home field advantage. You know, the Frocks, when you get to Pimlico, their barn tends to heat up, so you can't throw out a Frock horse when we get here to Old Hilltop. But look, this horse has been in real good form over his last 4 races. Has had a little bit of a vacation, but as you mentioned, a couple good works, including a nice half here on the 26th at 49-3 for Charles L. Frock. Julio Correa will ride and gets in a little light, 121 pounds, 5 pounds for most of them.
And then I use the 2. Greeley is back. I like this horse the other day when we had to cancel. McCarthy will ride first off the claim for Kieran McGee. Kieran claimed this horse late March. He's in bad form, but he has some back class. He's been training here. He has at Pimlico for Kieran, a couple of recent works. You get the leading rider, Trevor McCarthy. So I think the 2 Greeley is back is interesting here. Not the horse you have here, To the Hilt. Ran a big race 2 starts ago, then kind of ran a clunker last out. He's looking to bounce back to good form.
Yeah, I think he'll bounce back to good form today. Going 6 furlongs in today's race, he's run pretty decent. But look, Greeley is back. It's interesting. By the numbers, you look at some of his races, they're good enough.
Sure.
But this horse is going to improve. Is it going to be enough to win? We don't know, but this horse will certainly run better. Greeley is back with Trevor McCarthy. First time for Kieran McGee.
All right, so nice beaten nickel going 3/4 to kick off the middle pick 4 and the rainbow pick 6. Let's turn the page. Race 5 will kick off the late pick 5, no carryover, but as always, that industry low 12% takeout, and both your pick 5s here at Pimlico. Race 5, we're going a flat mile on the turf, rated good, rail setting at 15 feet here in the 5th. Maiden claiming 25,000 for 3-year-olds and upward, and I go with the 8 on top. So do you. The 8, Ben and Joe McCarthy rides his El Padrino 3-year-old for Grand Motion. He's making his turf debut today, but he has 4 basically it's 7 furlongs.
Yeah.
That's a route. He has 4 routes under his belt this year as a 3-year-old. He's run a couple okay races. He ran a decent 3rd at Laurel back in March, and now he tries the turf with McCarthy, and it's not the toughest race.
It's not the toughest race, and he's taking a little bit of drop in class. He's been running for that maiden 40
Sure.
and maiden special weight, and by El Patrino out of the Starland mare. Well, that's close enough, and we know Grand Motion excels with his turf horses. But he's been running some decent, solid races. Not the best results, but some good numbers. And if he can duplicate that on the grass, and I suspect he probably can, he'll find himself in the winner's circle.
All right, we both like the 3 as well here. Snidely for Jerry Englehart. Vargas rides his colt by Pimlico special winner Alternation. And the form's not very good, but but he's trying to turf today for the first time, and it's Englehart and Vargas, and they're 36% together and a positive ROI.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is just a strong, very reliable outfit, Jeremiah Englehart. And when he brings a horse in, and sometimes they don't even look like they figure. They typically run well, and I expect that this one will run well, too. Okay, so first-time turf, Jerry Englehart, about 17%, respectable. Not as good as some of his other numbers, but certainly good enough. But he's very, very good off this type of layoff where his horses will win 24% of the time. So second off this type of layoff. So I'm going to give Snidely a shot here, 3-1 on the line, and we'll see how we go there.
All right, and we both use the 12. The 12 draws in off the AE. The 12, yes means no, draws in off the AE for Robbie Bales and owner Marshall Dow. Jorge Riaz will ride, and this horse a good a good second at this level, last out at 37-1.
That was a real good second in his last race, and he just got a little late toward the wire, but he kept going. He was willing to keep going. He tried real hard all the way down there. It had been a long time since he'd run on the turf, so he gets back onto the grass today here at Pimlico for the second time in a long time. He fired not a lifetime best number, but a second best number of his career, second time on the grass in his last start. So you have to give yes means no from the outside a little consideration.
All right, so nice maiden turf route there in race 5. Let's turn the page. You like the late pick 4 today. It's a nice allowance race to kick off the late pick 4 in race 6. Let's check out your ticket, see how you played it.
Yeah, that should be an $8 ticket, I believe. But I go too deep in every race. 6th race, I use the 1-7. 7th race, I use the 1-12. 8th race, I use the 1-3, and then 9th, I use the 1-5. $8 ticket just so you can save a little money for the big weekend we've got coming up. If you get a little short, you can split it with a friend.
All right, good stuff. Let's see if we can get live here in race 6. A first-level allowance condition for Maryland bred, Maryland sired. We're going 6 furlongs. I go with the 8 on top. I think you like the 8 as well. We have a video spotlight to show you of Nico Bree and TJ, a Maryland bred by Freedom Child out of a 2-punch mare for trainer Claudio Gonzalez. Claudio's done awfully well with this horse. Here's a big effort on April 7th.
It's a real big effort. Now he ends up getting beat 2 1/4 lengths for the whole thing, but he battles most of the length of the stretch in between horses. That can be tough for horses, especially when they're starting to get tired. But he keeps trying all the way down to the wire, and that's all you can ask of any horse. Gets a nice outside draw today. Antonio Quills picks up the mount for the first time for Claudio Gonzalez, and they win 19% of the time. So he's getting a little weight from some of the field. So I like Nico Bree and TJ in this spot today since that last race. Two big works at Laurel, a couple half miles of 47 and change and 48 flat. So I think Nico Bree and TJ will be able to break through and get this condition knocked out today.
All right, this is a tough race to handicap. We somehow came up with the same 4 horses here. The one Torch of Truth. This horse by Not for Love, he's done nothing wrong. He's hit the board in all 5 starts. Toledo will ride for trainer Tom Ionati. He's fresh now. He's been working up there at Delaware. He doesn't have that much early speed, and he's going to be breaking from the 1 hole, so he might be in a little traffic early. But he's honest and consistent. And I think we'll see another big effort from Torch of Truth today.
Well, he simply probably will go off as post-fine favorite, I would guess, because as you said, he has done nothing wrong. In 5 lifetime starts, he's never been worse than 4th, and he's been 1st and 2nd in 4 of those. His last race, a big effort over the mud at Laurel Park last March, but you're right. He has to break from the rail. He's going to have to overcome that a little bit, but not too big of a field. He shouldn't be too much of an effort for Javion Toledo to work out a pretty decent trip. Now, by the numbers, this horse is a standout. He's been running some big numbers and consistently over his last 3 races for Tom Ionati. But Towards the Truth, probably at the end of the day, is the horse to beat, and we're going to try to beat him.
All right, so we both have a cold 8-1 exactly. We both like the 4 as well. Hall Pass, also by Freedom Child. 3rd at that same race we just showed you with Nico Bree and TJ. Vargas will ride for Hammy Smith. This horse been hanging around against Allowance Company, hitting the board. He hadn't been off the board since last November, so he's pretty honest and consistent as well.
Yeah, he's just a kind of horse that originally I didn't have him in my picks with the scratch of the 3 in this race. Day the Music died. I ended up using him at the bottom of my ticket. And, these horses that just kind of hang around, they get me a little nervous because they get in a habit of just hanging around and not finding the winner's circle, and that's exactly what he's done. He hasn't run a bad race. You can't hold those races against him. But they just simply haven't been good enough to win. So he's got to have to make a decision and dig a little deeper and see if he can come up with a win for Hall Pass.
And we both used the 5 Royal Hussar. This horse coming off a long layoff, a year-plus layoff for Hammy Smith, a 5-year-old by Langford. But he's run some big races. He had a big maiden score a long time ago. His last race was a big win against Starter Allowance Company. So he's fired some big numbers. Looks like he's been working well at Laurel, and he gets Forest Boys to ride.
Well, he certainly has been working well. Big work May 1st, 5/8 of a mile and a minute of change. And this is a horse that I've always liked before he went on this long break. He's always consistent. He's always tried over his last 5 races, 6 races before he went on the vacation. Wasn't worse than 2nd and chose 2 wins. So this is a trier. The question is he going to be ready to go off that layoff? He picks up Forest Boys, who was his regular rider before he went on his break.
All right, so nice Maryland bred allowance condition there to kick off the pick 4 in race 6. Let's turn the page here. Race 7, a nice turf route here. Race 7, we're going a mile and a 16th on the turf, rated good. Rail setting at 15 feet, where it's a 25,000 starter allowance, optional claiming 25,000, 3 and up. Never won 3. That's the condition, and we both have the 1 on top here. The 1, too much data. Should get a ground-saving trip from the inside with Javion Toledo aboard this homebred for Colts Next Stable and trainer Jorge Duarte. He's run some big races on the grass. Last January of this year, a big win against Starter Allowance Company, going a mile on the turf at Gulfstream. Got an 87 buyer speed figure that day, and then he ran okay against Open Allowance after that. He finds a little easier spot today in this little cozy Starter Allowance 3 Life. I think the one too much data in a good spot today.
I think he's in a really, really good spot, dropping to this 2 lifetime 25, as you mentioned. Coming out of Florida, these horses have been running very, very well coming out of Florida, and he's getting class relief for Georgie Durarte, who hits 29% off this type of layoff, and working well up there in New Jersey. Georgie also very good with his horses that run around the ground. They win 19% of the time, but I think this horse is just going to probably be a little tough for the rest of them. This is just a nice spot for too much data.
All right, I didn't use the 12. You have the 12 in your exacta here. I'm getting to the 12. Glad Moon for Neil Morris. Yeah, nice win on the Laurel Turf last October.
Yeah, he's got some nice races on the turf. A nice win in a 2 lifetime 16,000 his last race on the flat. And he ran on the flat going a mile and a half at one of the hunt mates, Great Meadow, I guess.
Yeah.
Didn't run bad that day off that long of a layoff. He only got beat 4 lengths. He ran third. It was a 9-horse field, so he gets to turn back the distance. He's got good turf form on the regular oval. Look up and down his form. You'll see some good strong numbers, some good results. Gets Carlos Carrasco today for Neil Morris. Second off a layoff and a big mile and a half tune-up coming in.
Yeah, I missed him. He gets a nice weight break as well. He's going from 147 to 124 today. All right, so the 12 Glad Moon, he looks tough
and
here.
He doesn't have to go up any hills today either.
Well, we got a little hill top.
We got a little hill at the top of the stretch.
All right, so nice turf route here. We both have the one too much data on top. Let's turn the page here. Race 8 will kick off the late daily double. We're going 6 furlongs on the main track. 25,000 starter allowance. Optional claiming 25,000. Filly mares 3 and up. Never won 3. Lifetime, we both have the 3. We both like the same 4 here. The 3 on top, though. Hot Frisia for Ann Merriman. She trains here at Pimlico. Toledo rides his mare by Frisian Fire. Good third at this level last out. That was on the turf. She's 0 for 4 on the turf, but she still ran well. Now she was coming back to the races after having a couple months off. Now she ran sharp. Now she's running right back and going turf to dirt. I like that. Even though the stats not very good for Ann, turf to dirt. I like that angle here for the 3, Hot Frisia.
Well, she just simply looks like the best horse in the race. She ran a good race on the turf, and that's perfect. Tuned her up a little bit, put a little speed into her. Now she gets back to the dirt where she's run some very, very good races. You don't have to go back too far. You go back to last November and then races after that where she was firing low 70s, mid 60 by her speed figures, and if she can run back to any one of those, and I think she can since she just fired a nice 65 on the grass, she's probably good enough to get the job done here in Pimlico's 8th race.
All right, so we both have the 3 on top. The 1, Mrs. Cruz, I use in my exacta. Victor Carrasco to ride this filly for trainer Michelle Nevin. A sharp win. That was last January at Aqueduct on a sloppy track against straight 3-year-olds, 30,000 claimers, and then it's kind of gone the other way since then. It needed a little break, came back going a mile in a slop at Aqueduct. That didn't go too well. Beaten favorite up there, and now runs back a little bit over a month. And I like the cut back in distance, the 1 Mrs. Cruz is going to get today.
And a couple works since that last race, but she's getting something she hasn't had in a very, very long time, a fast track. She has not run on a fast track since last November, and she's run 4 different times and caught an off track every time. She shows good races on fast tracks at Gulfstream last summer, so I expect the fast track and second off the layoff to be enough to help out Mrs. Cruz.
All right, the 2, Allison Kay, first off the claim for Farrier. This filly by Congrats. She has some early speed, and she showed her versatility last out when she rallied from off the pace. So she'll probably get a good trip with early speed, maybe a stalking trip on the inside here for the 2, Allison Kay.
Well, Sheldon Russell will make that decision right out of the gate. You can count on it. Very, very good on horses on the front end, but he's also very good with horses that will come off of the pace. Anthony Ferry, 19% first time off the claim. So I thought I'd give this combination a try. And this one is just another one that's been in pretty decent form all year this year. 3 wins and 1 second, and she's in with a shot today.
All right, now the 5, Frigid Sister, Forest Boys. We both use this filly by Sky Mesa. She's coming off the layoff today for Flint Stites. This is her 4-year-old debut. She's been working well up there at Penn National. And if she's on her A game, she could get a piece of it.
Yeah, I think so, and that's basically what she typically does is gets a piece of it. Now, maybe being a little fresh, she can do a little bit better, comes in here with a series of strong works. But she'd been running against some tough horses in her last couple of starts before she went on that break, Lady Vicky, SW Briar Rose. So she was taking on some tough company in those races. So this race might be a little bit easier than those races. In fact, I'm sure it is easier than the two other vans at Penn National. But working well against Forest Boys and a filly who just kind of hangs around. She'll break through at some point.
All right, so we both have the Pimlico filly on top, the 3 Hot Frisia in race 8. Let's turn the page here. Race 9 off the turf, 5 furlongs on the main track, claiming 16,003 and up. Never won 3 life, straight 3-year-olds. That's the condition, and we both like the one here, Gringo Star for Wayne Potts. Rosario Montanez will ride. Potts was probably reading the weather forecast, hoping this race would come off the turf. He gets his wish, and this little 4-year-old gelding has enough early speed to get a good stalking trip up there on the inside.
Well, I think it was probably late good news. I don't think he woke up this morning thinking this race would come off the turf, but it did, and it was absolutely the right decision, and I agree with it. But look, this horse has been running very, very well, running strong numbers, getting good, consistent results. Look down his form. All you see are 3s and 2s there. He's going to break through here in a second, and 5/8 of a mile might hit him right in the head. He's never run 5/8 of a mile on the main track, and I think that's going to work for Gringo Star. Now, he's not my top pick. I went to the outside 5 Belmont Ride for Damon Della Davico, who's having himself an incredibly good year, winning 26% of the time. He was entered exactly for this race to come off the turf. Entered main track only. Good race in his last race. This will be the first time off the claim for Damon Della Davico, coming off a little bit of a layoff, which Damon hits 27% of the time, 30 to 60 days. He's right there, and this one's last 3-4 starts have been very, very good. So I'm going to go with the main track only horse, the 5 Belmont Ride.
All right, we both like the 9 as well here. On the outside, Wilco's Golden Eye for owner-trainer Donald Souter. You get Pinero to ride. He gets the long shots home. He scored on this gelding at 20-1 back in April at Laurel. So he's been hanging around. He ran okay last out at 30-1. He hit the board.
Yeah, well, look, his race after he won was a pretty big race, and Wilco's Golden Eye traditionally hasn't put 2 together back-to-back very often, but he's managed to put 3 races back-to-back, decent races, so I had to use him here today for Donald Souter and Felix Pinero.
That's it. We're out of time. Big 9-race card to kick off Preakness and Black-Eyed Susan Week. We kick it off at 1:10 today. First race post time tomorrow for Black-Eyed Susan Day is 11:30. First race post time on Saturday is 10:30. Preakness.com to get your tickets. Turfside Terrace tickets still available. Enfield Fest tickets still available. The weather for Friday and Saturday, it keeps looking better and better and better.
Absolutely. Of course it's going to be good. Don't worry about it. Stan, don't worry about the weather. It's going to be good.
It's all good.
Even if it rains, it's going to be good.
Best horses in the world right here at Historic Pimlico. That's it. We're out of time. Dave Rodman, he's coming up next with today's scratches and changes. Good luck.